If you travel to Salt Lake City, Utah, you cannot miss it. Standing in the center of the city is a massive granite fortress of a building. It has 6 spires reaching toward the sky, topped by a golden angel. It is the Salt Lake Temple of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. To the outside world, this building is a mystery. Unlike a regular Mormon meeting house, where visitors are welcome, the temple is restricted. Only faithful members with a special recommend can enter, and what happens inside is considered sacred, secret, and never to be discussed in detail outside its walls. But for nearly 2 centuries, whispered rumors and leaked accounts have described the rituals that take place inside: strange handshakes, secret passwords, ritual aprons, and symbols like the square and compass. And for historians of the 19th century, these rumors sound incredibly familiar. In fact, they sound identical to the rituals of a completely different group, a group that isn't a church at all, but a fraternity. The Freemasons. The similarities are not subtle. Both groups wear ritual aprons. Both use specific handshakes or tokens to identify a member's level of progression. Both use the symbols of the compass and the square. Both involve making solemn covenants of secrecy. For critics of the LDS Church, this resemblance is the ultimate smoking gun. They point to a specific date on the calendar in 1842 as proof that Joseph Smith, the founder of Mormonism, didn't receive these rituals from God. He simply copied them from the local Masonic lodge. But for faithful Latter-day Saints, the connection is undeniable but interpreted completely differently. They argue that these similarities aren't proof of plagiarism, they are proof of antiquity. Today, we are unlocking the doors of 2 of the most secretive institutions in American history. We are going to examine the timeline, the symbols, and the theology to answer the question: did Joseph Smith steal the Mormon temple ceremony from the Freemasons, or is there a deeper story? To understand this controversy, we first have to look at the rituals themselves. What exactly are we comparing? The Masonic ritual, Freemasonry describes itself as a peculiar system of morality, veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. When a man is initiated into a lodge, he goes through 3 degrees: entered apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason. In these ceremonies, the initiate moves from darkness to light. He makes vows of secrecy. He's taught specific handshakes, grips, passwords, and signs gestures that allow him to prove his status to other Masons. He wears a white lambskin apron. And the story told during the ritual centers on the building of King Solomon's temple and the murder of its architect, Hiram Abiff. The Mormon endowment, the central ceremony of the Mormon temple, is called the endowment. It is a ritual drama that takes the believer on a journey from creation to the presence of God. Participants wash and dress in white clothing. They put on a green apron, symbolizing fig leaves. They make solemn covenants with God regarding obedience and chastity. And, crucially, they are taught specific signs, tokens, handshakes, and key words that function as the keys to pass the angels, who stand as sentinels and enter the celestial kingdom. The overlaps are specific and undeniable. The 5 points of fellowship. In the Masonic ritual, the Master Mason is raised by a grip known as the 5 points of fellowship: foot to foot, knee to knee, breast to breast, hand to back, and mouth to ear. In the early versions of the Mormon endowment, a nearly identical gesture was used at the veil. The symbols, the square and the compass, the classic tools of stonemasons, are embroidered onto the sacred undergarment worn by Mormons during the ceremony. The language, early versions of the Mormon penalties, vows of secrecy, language strikingly similar to Masonic penalties, for example, throat cut from ear to ear, tongue torn out by its roots. Note: these specific penalties were removed from the Mormon ceremony in 1990. So, we have 2 rituals, both claiming ancient origins, both using aprons, handshakes, and the same specific physical gestures. Is it a coincidence? The history says, absolutely not. This brings us to Nauvoo, Illinois, in the spring of 1842. This is the crime scene for the critics and the crucible of revelation for the believers. By the 1840s, Joseph Smith was building a new holy city on the Mississippi River. He was also building a massive temple, but he hadn't yet revealed the rituals that would be performed inside it. Many of Joseph's closest friends and leaders, men like Heber C. Kimball, Brigham Young, and Hiram Smith, were already Freemasons. In fact, a Masonic lodge was established in Nauvoo, and it quickly became one of the largest in the state. Here is the critical timeline. March 15, 1842. Joseph Smith is officially initiated as an entered apprentice Mason in the Nauvoo Lodge. He rises quickly, becoming a Master Mason the very next day. May 4, 1842. Just 7 weeks later, Joseph Smith gathers 9 of his closest friends in the upper room of his red brick store. There, for the first time, he introduces and administers the Mormon endowment ceremony. The correlation is instantaneous. Joseph joins the Masons in March. He reveals a ritual full of Masonic-style symbols in May. For historians and critics, this is an open and shut case of cultural borrowing. They argue that Joseph, a brilliant religious synthesizer, experienced the Masonic ritual and immediately recognized its power. He saw a structure, a ritual drama, a system of progression, a way to bind men together in secrecy and brotherhood. And he adapted it. He took the form of Masonry and filled it with the contents of his own theology. From this perspective, the temple ceremony isn't an ancient revelation. It's a 19th century remix. It's Masonry baptized. But if the copying is so obvious, how did Joseph Smith explain it to his followers? Did they not notice that their prophet was giving them the same handshakes they used at the lodge down the street? They absolutely noticed. Heber C. Kimball, one of the apostles present at that first endowment, famously wrote to Parley P. Pratt, "We have received some precious things through the prophet on the priesthood that would cause your soul to rejoice." There is a similarity of priesthood in Masonry. Brother Joseph says Masonry was taken from priesthood but has become degenerated. But many things are perfect. This is the key to the Mormon defense, the restoration theory. Joseph Smith taught that his mission was to restore the ancient truths and ordinances that had been lost from the earth since the time of the apostles or even Adam. He did not view Freemasonry as a 17th century invention. Like many men of his time, including many Masons, Joseph believed the legends that Freemasonry dated back to Solomon's temple or even to the priesthood of Adam and Noah. So, when Joseph underwent the Masonic initiation, he didn't see a new fraternity. He believed he was seeing the fragmented, corrupted remnants of the original, ancient priesthood ritual. He believed the Masons had preserved the shell, but had lost the power and the true meaning. In Joseph's mind, he wasn't stealing from Masons. He was reclaiming what was originally God's. He was taking the corrupted fragments found in the lodge and restoring them to their original, pure, Adamic form in the temple. To a faithful Latter-day Saint, the similarities are actually evidence of the temple's truth. The fact that Masonry resembles the temple is just proof that Masonry really does descend from ancient truth. Just as a ruined castle proves there was once a king. While the mechanics are similar, scholars of religion point out that the purpose of the two rituals is radically different. Freemasonry is pedagogical, the Masonic ritual is an allegory. No Mason believes he is actually Hiram Abiff. The ritual is a play designed to teach moral virtues, fraternity, charity, truth. It is about becoming a better man in this life. It is a system of morality. The Mormon endowment is soteriological saving. The temple ritual is not just a play, it is a saving ordinance. For a Latter-day Saint, the covenants made in the temple are literally necessary for salvation, specifically exaltation. The tokens and signs are not just symbols of brotherhood, They are believed to be the literal keys required to pass the angels and enter God's presence in the afterlife. Joseph Smith took the method of Masonry, ritual drama, and physical gestures and transformed the meaning from fraternal bonding to eternal salvation. He also democratized it. Masonry was for men only. Joseph Smith opened the endowment to women. In the Mormon temple, women perform the same rituals, make the same covenants, and receive the same priesthood keys as men. He also extended it to the dead via proxy work. So, while he used the Masonic hardware, he installed completely different theological software. For over 100 years, this connection was openly acknowledged by church leaders. But in the mid-20th century, as the church sought to become more mainstream, the Masonic roots became embarrassing. They were downplayed, and the ritual itself began to change. Since the 19th century, the LDS Church has revised the endowment ceremony multiple times. 1990 revision. The most significant changes removed the penalties, and the 5 points of fellowship embraced the elements that were most explicitly Masonic. Recent revisions. Changes have focused on streamlining the ceremony and increasing the role of women. With every revision, the temple ceremony looks less like a 19th century Masonic lodge and more like a uniquely Mormon experience. The explicit Masonic DNA being slowly edited out of the liturgy, leaving only the core symbols. This leads to a fascinating modern situation. Young Mormons today often go through the temple and have no idea that the symbols they are seeing have any connection to the Freemasons, whereas their great-grandparents would have recognized them instantly. So, did Joseph Smith copy the Freemasons? Historically, the answer is yes. The timing and the specific details are too precise to be coincidental. The Mormon temple ceremony was born out of the Masonic milieu of 19th century America. But this leads to the final, complex debate about the nature of religious innovation. On one side, the skeptical view. Is this proof that Mormonism is a human invention? Does the fact that we can trace the sacred rituals back to a secular fraternity prove that Joseph Smith was a bricklayer, a genius cultural magpie who cobbled together a religion from the scraps of his environment Bible, Masonry, folk magic? If the rituals are Masonic, can they really be divine? On the other side, or is this how revelation always works? Does God always speak the language of the culture he is addressing? When God spoke to the ancient Israelites, he used the legal forms of the Babylonians. Maybe, when God spoke to Joseph Smith in 1842, he used the ritual language that Joseph and his peers understood and revered, Freemasonry. Could Masonry have been the catalyst or the vocabulary that God used to teach Joseph Smith a new concept? Can a ritual be borrowed historically, but still become sacred spiritually through the meaning poured into it? Is the temple a plagiarized large or a divine remix? Let me know your thoughts on this historical puzzle in the comments below. If you found this deep dive into the secrets of American religion fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that uncovers the hidden stories behind our beliefs. Thanks for watching.